Hi, and once again, greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey. If you didn't see my other video, I'm staying in a hotel room overnight. Welcome, because as I have done several other times this summer, I have back-to-back dates, wait a minute, club dates in the area. And so rather than endure an hour and a half each way to and from New York City, I'm going to stay overnight and go enjoy the beach tomorrow. I already enjoyed it tonight after dinner. I had a nice walk on the boardwalk. And there are a lot of things about being woodwind doublers that are put us at a disadvantage, mostly that we can't master any of the instruments that we play and we love, although we can come pretty close. But there is really an upside, is that you get to play with a lot more kids and have a lot more fun and do the things that interest you. Certainly with my ADHD brain, uh, is all about it. It's all about the variety. And the other night I went to hear Vince Giordano and the Nighthawks, and Vince Giordano is a pioneer in recreating the music of the 1920s specifically, and even the early 1930s. He has been doing it long enough that he actually knew many of the men. Unfortunately, it's mostly men in those days who were there originally. They're big Spiderbeck's associates. Bill Chalice was a big influence on his life. Bill Chalice, of course, arranged a lot of the music for Paul Whiteman's orchestra, wrote down a lot of big Spiderbeck's composition for piano for him, etc. Anyways, so when I went to hear the band the other night, uh, one of the members of the reed section was doubling on violin. This was quite common in the 20s. I'm convinced that the society violinists who I played with when I first started in that end of the business, they all really didn't like the saxophone, and I'm sometimes wonder if maybe they didn't even know why, but maybe their teachers were around for that whole scene and either resented that sax players played the violin or they resented that they had to play saxophone. I'm not really sure, and this is pure conjecture on my part. In any case, the gentleman in his chair, he had baritone sax and he had clarinet and he had violin, and he even had something called a phonofiddle, which is it almost looks like an electric violin, but instead of cables, it's got a like a horn on it. Um, just mainly the purpose of which was to project the sound. Some people say it was for recording, uh, but I'm not so sure about that because the pictures from recording sessions from the acoustic era, I don't see those instruments. Anyway, this is not about that. It's about the fact that he could double on violin and be able to play jazz solos on it and be able to play section parts on it and then switch to bari sax or clarinet. I don't think he had flute in his book. In any case, and the same guy who's playing this style from over 100 years ago, as I learned and as we learned as an audience, also has a Grammy Award for having played with Taylor Swift. So this is rather extreme, but nonetheless, here's a perfect example of a woodwind player really playing with all the kids. Yeah, in a lot of different styles. So in addition to having an arsenal of different instruments, uh, obviously the more styles that you're proficient in, the better your chances of succeeding in the commercial music business. Now, of course, the only catch is you've got to love those styles. You know, if you don't, it's not going to work because it's going to sound inauthentic. Your heart's not in it, and you will not have absorbed uh, all the little nuances that you need to, that can only come from studying and from loving a style. But some things are required. The basics: you've got to be able to swing, you've got to be able to play like a classical musician, and you've got to be able to play like some of our rock players. But you may have things that you're better at than others, and that's how you kind of find your niche. But as I say, here's a guy who's played with Taylor Swift, and now he's playing with Vince. So, food for thought.